Hey, it's Ryan with S&B. Wanted to give you an overview of how our distance to empty module works for the 23 and up Power Stroke trucks. So all we're doing is scaling the distance to empty by the difference between the size of the S&B tank for your truck and the tank that came in your truck originally. So on a short bed, your truck came with a 34-gallon tank. You're installing a 60-gallon S&B tank. So this is going to be 1.76 times the distance to empty. So for example, if you're getting 15 miles to the gallon at a full tank, you're gonna have 510 miles to empty. Once you install this and program it for a 60-gallon tank, we're gonna be showing 898 miles to empty. So that's just taking 510 and multiplying it by this number right here. On a long bed truck, your truck came with the 48-gallon tank. The S&B replacement is 68 gallons, and therefore the scalar, the multiple we're using is 1.41 times your current distance to empty. So at 15 miles to gallon, if you had a full tank with 48 gallons in it, you'd have 720 miles to empty. We'd scale that up and you would show 1,015 miles to empty once scaled. So if you were to program this for a short bed in the long bed tank, the multiple's higher. So it's actually going to scale this number bigger than what it should be, but you don't actually have that much fuel. And that's because it's going to think you had a 34-gallon tank, whereas you actually had a 48 to start. So you're starting with a higher distance to empty number and ending with a higher distance to empty number than you would have in a short bed as the tank's bigger. But again, if you were to select short bed in a long bed truck, it's gonna make a false reading and make this even higher because it's using the scalar from the bigger difference in the short bed tank, which jumped from a 34 to a 60. And vice versa, if you put long bed in a short bed, so if you programmed in a short bed truck to have a long bed, you'd actually show less fuel and less miles to empty than you actually should have. So the needle reading's not moving at all. All we're doing is scaling the distance to empty by 1.76 on a short bed and 1.41 on a long bed truck. That's all there is to this module, and that explains exactly how it's going to work in your truck. And this number would just change depending on miles to gallons. And the scalar we're applying applies to the current distance to empty. Now resetting your fuel mileage computer doesn't magically reset the distance to empty to match what your current fuel mileage is in the trip computer. So this uses the truck's distance to empty uses an algorithm, and it's over a past sum of a lot of miles. It's not just based off when you reset it. So if you're towing heavy beforehand or anything else like that, it's going to drop the distance to empty currently shown in the truck, which will also drop the distance to empty once we scale it up with our module. So our scaling is all based off the current distance to empty shown in your truck. And the best way to confirm that the S&B module is working is to look at your reading before installing the module, look at it after, and confirm it matches this 1.41 or 1.76 multiple. That's the only thing we're doing with this module.